Hi there, welcome to the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma, and today we're meeting in the studio to have a little chat about moon gardening, which can be a little strange this time of year if you're in the northern hemisphere like I am. It's winter time, and thinking about gardening at all seems a little counterintuitive. But where I live on the Oregon coast in a zone 9A, I get to garden all year long, which is a huge blessing. I just have to, I just have to run out in between rainstorms. But I don't get freezing cold weather and I don't get snow. And if I do, it's just like a little sprinkle. So, I don't have to worry about having extended periods without access to my garden. However, everything's kind of dormant. It is cold, it's wet, and we don't necessarily want to be out in the garden. So we are at the first quarter moon. It was a new moon last week. We're getting ready to celebrate a full moon next week, and we're in this in-between stage where it's really conducive in our gardens any time of year under the first quarter moon to pay attention to the pests in our garden, specifically like snails and slugs and voles and gophers. I suppose any pests like rabbits or deer and that kind of thing as well. Not as much, like I don't focus as much this time of the moon cycle pests in regards to like earwigs or spider mites or fungal diseases. I do that later. But this week is a great time to see where you have those other like small critter pests in the garden. For me, keeping on top of the slug population this time of year is crucial because we have so many slugs, so many kinds of slugs in so many places. But they lay their babies in the fall. So while we see the damage in the spring and summer, it's right now that they are making their babies. Their little egg sacs are all over. So even if you're not familiar with where those are, what those look like, taking measures to prevent their habitat from being, or to like not have habitat available for them. So that for me in my garden looks like decomposing piles of leaves, or any kind of debris. Now, if it's in the compost pile and the slugs are in the compost pile doing their slug thing that they're supposed to do, which is help break down plant material, that's fine. I just don't want them in my garden. And there's certain plants that really harbor slugs, like my rose campium and the saxifraga ground cover, the strawberry ground cover. Now, I'm not pulling those things, but I'm aware that that's where the slugs want to lay their eggs. So I, on dry days, will go out and sprinkle slug bait to essentially kill the adults. And then I just have to stay on top of the cycle, right? Late winter, I will start going out with my scissors. It's a gruesome job. Somebody's got to do it. And I'll just cut all the babies in half so that they don't propagate. They don't keep having more babies and they don't damage my plants. As I've done this, I get fewer and fewer slugs in my garden. So they're not traveling to my garden as much now. I don't really get snails, so I don't worry about those as much. Voles are another critter that you might be aware of in your garden, and small mice. Of course, there's bigger animals like rats and squirrels, and they come at their own set of challenges, but the small guys, they might be in your garden for the same exact reason. If you have mulch piled up against the tree trunks or shrubs, if you have leaf, like a pile of leaves up against a tree or shrub, those are the places that voles really love to nest in the winter. It gives them a little warm habitat environment that they can snug into. So keeping those things away from your trees, because what they'll do is they'll claw and bite or, scratch at your tree trunks, which can essentially damage your tree. So keeping the areas clean around the base of your trees and shrubs are important, especially in the winter when those little critters are making their beds. Another thing that I like to do in the winter is treat my soil with oh, it just went out the door. I'll just put it on the screen. I treat my soil so that it kills the grubs in the soil, which is a twofold factor for me. It kills the earwigs and the Japanese or any kind of beetle in the ground that will come up and eat my plants. And because it kills the larva, it basically starves the gophers, and the gophers don't have anything to eat, so they leave my property alone. Is this 100% foolproof? No, it is not, because these things grow quickly, right? Their cycle life is fast. And because I have such a rainy climate, I can't always stay on top of it as much as I like. But those are things that I'm looking at. Do I have the opportunity in the next week or so to address those issues in my garden? Going into next week, when it's the full moon, that's an excellent time to plant flowers, things that are above ground. This is a good week for above ground as well. But the weather isn't always conducive to planting things that are growing above ground, especially like flowering things. So, maybe if you're really wanting to plant some flowers, maybe you have a greenhouse, or maybe you have an opportunity to plant some paper whites or amaryllis inside the house, which can be a really fun thing to do this time of year. I'm not thinking of really anything else. So, yeah, it's just a quiet time of year to just relax in the gardens and in our lives. Of course, dreaming about flowers and what's to come, you could be inspired by this moon cycle to dream up what the garden is going to look like in the future and the next year. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you are celebrating your life and that you're having a fantastic start to your week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.